Hello, everyone. Welcome back once again to another Trotec Laser Live. We're so glad to have you here with us on a Thursday this week. We're coming to you a little bit earlier than usual because we're so excited about the stuff that we're bringing to you. I'm joined by Gabe and Ron, who you've met before, but we're also joined from the other side of the globe by Petra. Petra, how are you?
Fine, thank you. I'm very happy to join you this time.
We're very happy to have you. Do you want to sort of introduce yourself a little bit, sort of say, how long you've been with Trotec or sort of what your role looks like?
Yes, I'm Petra from product marketing manager in the headquarters in Austria. And I've been for Trotec for 10 years now and always working in product marketing and the picture to the Speedies.
Very cool. So you guys who love the Speedies, you have Petra to thank for a lot of that.
Yes, thank you, Petra. I appreciate it.
Yes. Gabe, how are you, sir?
Good. It's good to be back. I apologize for missing last week's Ruby webinar, but I'm sure you and Laser Dave knocked it out of the park. But again, felt a little lonely not being able to be a part of it. So glad to be back. Thank you, Don.
No, we scraped by without you, but we're lucky to have you out in Florida. Were you attending? It was an event out there that you were doing, or you were doing some? Is it top secret? Is it something we can talk about?
Yeah, of course. I actually spent last week in Florida with our sales representative down there, Frankie Lasers, and the reason being we wanted to visit some of our customers down there and take some video of their facility and get some customer testimonials. And in addition to webinars, one of the things I do here sometimes is edit some videos together. So hopefully in the coming weeks, you'll be seeing the work that we did down there and some of the great success that Sip Tequila and HC Brands, two of our great customers down there in Florida, have using Trotec Speedy systems.
Awesome. Yeah, you guys, if you're not subscribed to our Trotec Laser YouTube channel, as a little segue, definitely, please do that. There's always good stuff coming out. And speaking of good stuff that is on the YouTube channel, one person who's contributed a lot of great videos over there, Ron, how are you, sir?
Good. How are you, sir?
Good. These segues are getting a little thin, but I'm doing my best. Also joined in the chat by Johnny from Trotec UK. Very happy to have Johnny back. Want to let everybody know, certainly you've got a broad range of experience in this call. So if you have any Trotec questions, certainly specifically about the machine we're going to be talking about today, which is the Speedy 100 Cross, but also just in general, I think we'll be trying to grab some Trotec questions, and Johnny is always very, very kind to grab some questions from the chat for us if we can't get to them. But
yes, thank you, Johnny. I do appreciate all of the answers that are given in the chat. Sometimes you help me out quite a bit.
Me too. No question at all. What I would say is I don't want to bury the lead. I wanted to give people a few minutes to jump in, but I really don't want to wait too long. I'm pretty excited about what we have to show. This might be one of the first times we've gotten to sort of publicly, unveil and talk about a new product in a stream like this. We wanted to talk about the new Speedy 100 Cross. What is the Speedy 100 Cross, you might be asking? Well, I'm going to ask Petra to kind of help us define it, but if you've seen a Speedy 100, it's not hugely different from what you're used to seeing, apart from a few little details. Ron, I'm not sure if you are able to turn the camera onto the machine there so we can kind of show the machine.
Yeah, we have the extra camera available there down the bottom. There you go.
Awesome.
We can back it out.
I'll see if I can solo it out here a little bit too.
It's always a bit strange positioning it when I see it backwards. Here we go.
Beautiful. I will make it nice and big so everyone can see it. So Petra, I'd love to hear a little bit about this machine. If somebody is familiar with the Speedy platform or the Speedy 100 platform in particular, what's there that they're used to with the Speedy 100 Cross, and then more importantly, what makes it different? What's with this bright red lid?
Okay, the Speedy 100 Cross, as you said, is quite similar to the Speedy 100 you know already, but it's the first industrial grade diode laser plotter for marking and cutting. So we added another laser source in there, And this gives us a lot of possibilities. So it was developed for use in industrial parts marking, for example, QR codes or metal parts, serial numbers, or printed circuit boards. Ron will show us this later on. What's so special about the diode? It impresses with pin-sharp details on metals and plastics. It's ideal for small to medium throughput volumes. And in contrast to a galvo laser that most companies are used in this kind of application, it has a larger marking area up to 24 by 12 inches. And it's possible to cut and engrave various materials as well. So you have more benefits compared to a galvo laser. But also it excels in the field of personalization or used in schools and universities when there is a need for metal marking. And you have the versatile machine. We developed this, we saw a growing demand for a compact enclosed marking solution, but with industrial performance. All people that know the Speedy 100, it's equipped with the Ruby software, and that's very, very beneficial to that kind of production environment.
Yeah, I have to say, we've been getting a chance to play with it for the past few weeks. It's pretty brand new to us as well. Ron, how have you found getting to use it? I know obviously you're very, very familiar with Ruby, and you can speak and have on some of these webinars at length about why Ruby is so great, but how have you found, adapting to the Speedy 100? Feels pretty comfortable?
The cross is, comfortable is, I would say it is still new. It's, you coming from a world where we're used to, a CO2 or a fiber laser source, because primarily that's where Trotec has lived, CO2 or fiber. And the 40 watt blue diode that's in the 100 cross is a different laser source. It gets different reactions. The settings are a bit different, but it's also really, really interesting because we could do some things with it that we aren't able to do with a CO2 or a diode, and then we can, or CO2 or a fiber, But then there's also, it can do a lot of the things that, say, a CO2 can do, or it can do a good amount of things that a fiber can do as well. There's some uniqueness to it. It's just it's learning it and getting used to it, and just kind of learning its ins and outs. And we, try to get a little bit of time on it each day if possible to try something we haven't tried and see what it can do. And we've got some customer applications that are coming in already to try out various things on it. And it's exciting for me because it's an opportunity for me to try a real practical application versus just grabbing some material and seeing what happens, and seeing in real life practical application, the benefits of this system. So.
Definitely. Yeah, this is one, I'm glad you mentioned that. And Petra's exactly right that we're going to be having Ron show us some example applications coming up kind of in the second half of the webinar. So definitely you have to stick around for that. When it comes to, I'm glad you mentioned getting to do a little bit of testing with it, because for people who aren't familiar with diode and maybe aren't sure exactly what materials it will or won't work with, this is a machine that's so new that we would really recommend, if there's a particular material you'd like to try or particular application you'd like to try, just reach out to your local Trotec, have us bring it in. We'll happily do a free, no obligation sample for you, but it'll give you a sense of what the cross can accomplish. And as Ron said, we have quick access to all of our other machines. So if we find that, for this particular application, here's the result we could get with the cross, but here's also the one we could get with the fiber laser, and you can make that kind of direct compare and contrast between the two. I think an important thing to point out, though, and it's something you mentioned, Petra, is the precision of it. It's not just because you might have seen diode lasers on the market, but I think this machine is a little bit special in as much as, am I right in saying that if somebody is used to the level of precision that you get from a Speedy, this is on that exact same level as any other Speedy laser you've used in terms of kind of quality and precision?
Yeah, exactly. You have the same quality, and some people might associate the diode with the entry hobbyist machine. It's definitely not. It's a professional marking solution. It's not a hobby laser. It's built for reliability, clean output, and smart workflow with Ruby. So industrial grade build, powered by Ruby with a lot of automation functions. It's fully enclosed for safety and compliance. It's quite compact and quiet. And as I said before, it has a larger working area compared to Galvos, and also more flexibility in terms of materials compared to the fiber laser, especially for the parts marking industry. You also mentioned before the pin sharp clarity. This is especially, for example, for photo engravings, not the parts marking industrial world, but also in the personalization, engraving photos with fine details, really nice results. You should try that.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's one where even if you already have a current Speedy, if you want to get into part marking, which is definitely a growing industry, this might be where I would point you towards. Gabe, because you've been out of the office, have you had a chance to actually play around with it? I know that, like Ron says, we're trying to get it. It's kind of the pretty girl in the showroom right now, where if anybody wants to come in and use a machine, it's always that way. Have you had a chance to actually get your hands on with it yet, or is it still pretty new in the...
I was going to say, just to build off Petra, we actually debuted this, or kind of debuted this, right around the time of the Trotec Grand Prix that we held a couple months back. So a lot of our staff got to kind of experiment with it as they came in and, taught some of these classes and met with a lot of our customers. So I didn't get a chance to use it myself, but it was really interesting kind of just being around and watching us kind of test a lot of these different sorts of things. I really think, the precision aspect is right on the money. It was really cool to see just kind of how smooth this system runs. It really looked like some of these engravings that they were doing, especially on the metals, it looked like they were painted on there because they were done so well. So I haven't gotten a chance to really play around with it a lot yet, but because it sits in the showroom in Michigan, and of course, around a couple other showrooms in North America, I have been able to, at least check it out a little bit. Very cool stuff.
Very cool. You make a good point too about the look, like it gets painted on. Particularly, most of the applications that I've gotten to do have been kind of parts marking. I would say the same thing. Ron, I'm not sure if you can tell us, but is that because what it's doing is technically an annealed mark on the surface? Like, are you seeing a lot of depth when you're doing metals, or is it more of that kind of annealed look?
So there's not a lot of depth. You can engrave. There's an etch, but we can also anneal. It depends on the material, the metal. There's most of your stainless steels and so forth are gonna etch well, and we can get anything from a light engraved that's just barely visible up to a dark engrave or an annealing on like say stainless steel or raw steel, and then some like raw aluminum and certain alloys of aluminum you can get some various effects on. So it's kind of unique in the fact that, like, whereas a fiber, though we are capable of annealing on a fiber, you have to do things out of focus. You've got to change some stuff. Here we're doing annealing in focus, and it's in a way it's actually faster at annealing than the fiber is, because of how it works, and just the wavelength is different and so forth. So,
well, and one point that Petra brought up that I think doesn't get stated enough is the working area. That, like, oftentimes, I've had the good fortune to work with a lot of customers where they would love to add a fiber unit to their current product offerings for their customers, but the fibers are so restricted in terms of the size and the way that the lens limits their marking area that something like this really kind of opens, another door, especially if you're already using Ruby. If you're already using Ruby, then picking this machine up and running with it seems like it's just a matter of learning the new materials you're going to have to use. In terms of settings too, Ron, have you found that the settings that are included with the machine, I guess it's like any machine, you've got to do a little bit of trial and error and testing. I don't mean to put you on the spot, certainly.
No, it's okay. A good amount of, so a lot of the settings that are programmed in here are actually recently been put together. There's the applications team in Austria. There's a few members that have put their input in, and that database is based off of their testing. And there's some pretty good settings in there. I've tweaked a couple of them because of maybe I was going for a different effect, or my material might have been slightly different, or and so on. But I found that the base settings that are built into the 100 cross are, if they'll mark basically exactly what they say they'll mark, the way they say they'll mark it. So it's quite good. And there's some cut settings in there as well for a couple of different materials. Some of that we're going to see today as well. So
awesome. Well, listen, I want to get into the applications. There's one last question I wanted to toss over to Petra, though, because you made a point about how I think, without wishing to be unfair, my association with diode lasers before this was also kind of entry level, right? I would see machines that were a little bit smaller, much more compact, much slower. But if you're just starting out a laser business, maybe it's a good fit. But I'm curious to ask you, why is it important that this machine runs on Ruby? And if somebody already has a diode laser and is now looking to grow their business, do you feel like that's kind of maybe where the sweet spot for the 100 cross might be?
Yeah, on the one hand, it's a professional machine for parts marking in an industrial field, and people who are used to Ruby or are new to Ruby, it's a perfect fit. But also people who upgrade from an entry-level diode and then coming to the next level, being faster, more productive. It's the speed of the machine itself, but in the total workflow with Ruby, this is what sets it apart. When comparing diode to diode, the diode laser sources is just one component of the total laser system. You have, of course, Ruby, and this is what makes it then different and a very productive machine.
Yes, and listen, I don't want to oversell it. Obviously, I am a little biased towards Strotech. I'm standing under the logo as we speak, but I think the best way to kind of demonstrate what makes it so special is let's show it. Ron, would you like to maybe kick us off with a first application?
Yeah, let me go ahead and reposition the camera back over to see into the system.
Absolutely.
Get my water cup out of the shot because we don't need to see that.
There's something about the red lid that's perfect too for matching the Trotec red around it. It's just finally we're so color coordinated with this system. Yes,
and am I right in saying so? It's actually a blue light laser.
Yeah, blue diode.
Gotcha. I'm still trying to get my hand around all the new. That sounds ridiculous. Trying to get my head around the colors, but it's I have to remind myself because it does affect the materials that it will work most comfortably with, right?
That's true. That's true. It's the blue light, and maybe Petra could probably answer and explain that a little bit better. But part of the reason for the red lid is to counteract the blue light from the blue diode. The blue laser, you'll actually see it a little bit while we're processing, is around the edges of the lid. You may see a little bit of a blue glow. That's perfectly safe. There's nothing that would hurt you or harm you or anything else. But it is blue light that is emanating this laser. What we're going to be marking here today is at least starting out the first application. So this is actually an aluminum housing air pump, oddly enough, from an old Speedy. This is the pump that we've put for years into the Speedy 100, 300, and the older version of the Speedy 400. We're going to go ahead and mark directly on that aluminum housing, and we're going to mark just a QR code with that takes you directly to the Trotec website. So
awesome.
We'll go, and we've got that set up in the queue, and let me go ahead and kick that off.
While you're doing it too, I'm going to speak really quickly because I know it's going to be a fast engraving. I really love this comment from Johnny in the chat too, who talks about what a great machine it is for batch engravings of things like pens or tags. You can mark them so well and also cut the fixture for them. And it's funny you mentioned that, but I will ask you to stay tuned for a cool upcoming application. But I could not agree more with you on that one.
So just like that, it took 20 seconds, and I'm going to do my best to try to show that on camera there. First again, there we go. Can't tell the way I'm holding it.
Yeah, there it is.
That's nice.
Yeah. Just real solid. Doesn't look, the camera view doesn't quite do it justice. It actually is quite dark. I could probably very quickly check it here on my phone and make sure that that it scans. I'm almost positive that it will.
It's like you said, Gabe. It almost looks drawn on with marker or like paint. It's really nice.
And that's not to say that, you know, the other speedies and the speed markers don't do that,
Hmm.
but there's just like a clear difference in just kind of how it looks. I don't know. It's tough to explain.
And so once I zoomed in a little bit on my camera, I picked it right.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Well done.
Awesome.
Yes. I'd love to hear too if there's anybody watching in the chat who'd like to ask of a particular application that they're thinking of adding. I mean, certainly, again, this is all still new for us, but if you have any questions about the cross, if you have any questions about what you're seeing, including what this mystery item that Ron is loading in, is that a PCB board? I want to say it's PCB board.
Just a matter of getting it up at the correct height. So excuse me for a moment while I work that.
Not at all. Again, anybody who's used to marking on the Speedy knows that, and I think it's a strength of the machine, because if you're already used to using a Speedy, you know how to focus it, you know how to set it up, you know how to use Ruby. I mean, it's no sweat on that side, but in the same way that you set up a Speedy, it's the exact same thing here. All of your knowledge goes right across. It's just now you get the really cool red lid, as Gabe said.
It's all about the lid.
All about the lid. Ron, am I right in saying that this is an application that PCBs in particular, and I'm sorry, I'm going to challenge you to do basically three things at once here. PCBs in particular was an application that we have struggled to find a really good solution for in the past, right? Because sometimes the fibers would almost be too powerful.
Yeah, that's true. So yeah, with the and even with the CO2 laser PCB, there's something about the material that the CO2 laser tends to just kind of burn it. You can't really get a nice etching on it, and the fiber laser, same kind of thing. We can get some reactions, and you can maybe dial in the settings for one type of PCB, but then or one color, but it's really hard to get it to work continuously. And I think there's some customers that have figured out some ways to work with what they have, but this actually works very, very beautifully on PCBs. And although the settings might be a little bit different depending on the color of the PCB board, for the most part, they're very similar. And once you kind of dial that setting in, you're set. So we're just going to pick a nice spot to put this. There looks nice enough to me, and we'll make sure, see how the camera view looks. I'll try to get a closer view of what's going on here. Of course, everything looks nice and red, like I've got a red light filter. Yeah, so we'll go to our next job here and bring over our QR code, send it over to the queue, and we're off to the races.
We're in business.
Yes. So, Petra, one of the applications I don't think we're going to have the chance to show today, but it's one that you've shown us some pictures of and things in the past that I think are really, really cool. Am I right in saying that you can also mark leather with this machine? Oh.
Sounds like we may have lost
Petra there for a minute.
We may have lost Petra. Or she's so stunned at the amazing QR code that
I'm stunned myself.
It's pretty great. Yes.
I think I'm back.
Welcome back.
So I'm going to attempt to.
Ooh, that's a tough one. Hold on, let me. Oh yeah.
No,
Oh wow.
that's coming out the way I want it to, but
It looks printed on there, Ron. It looks very similar to the white
yes.
codes and marks that are right next to it.
Yep, and again, that took roughly 20 seconds to mark that. And it's a larger one. We actually, and I'll attempt to put these in some of my testing. There's some actually very, very small. It's probably not going to come out very good on camera. Let me try.
I'll see if I can.
Trick. Nope, it's just blurry. But yeah, there's actually, I did some QR codes on there that I marked and scanned successfully that are smaller than 1/8 of an inch.
Between
tons of full website, full detail, not like a limited. There's a format for QR codes that you can have that's meant to be very small. This is a standard QR code that's less than 1/8 of an inch in size, and I was able to scan with a cell phone.
Between marking the air pumps and marking PCBs, people are going to think we're using the cross to build the cross. So sorry, Petra, I wanted to come back. Leather, sorry, because I wanted to kind of shout out the pictures you sent us. I have them here. They're in an internal. I'm afraid I can't show leather. If you guys want to see the leather marked, you're going to have to come out and see a live demo for you. But Petra, can you confirm that this machine does a beautiful job of leather?
It really does. Also the fine details of engraving. This is a special, I would say, advantage of the diode in leather engraving, the fine details and also marking different colors. Even different colors are possible.
That was one that blew me away. I saw the one leather, and again, this is by no means a promise. Every leather is slightly different, but I saw the one leather that turned like a beautiful bright on like ombre color, like orange almost color. It was really, really nice.
Yeah, we were doing leather at the Grand Prix and making some hat patches and stuff like that, and it looked fantastic. So again, I didn't have any part in creating that, but I can confirm that the results were outstanding.
Very cool, man. Ron, what is this large black square that you have for us?
So this is actually just a piece of Trolle's plastic. And what we're going to be doing now, again, I'm just trying to get things set up and just kind of waiting for you to prompt me, so to speak, because I don't want to go too fast or get too far ahead of anything. But
all good.
So what we're going to do here is I'm just going to actually cut out a fixture. So what I want to show is that we did a couple of marking applications that it's really nice to have that cross system for. But I want to also, kind of demonstrate that, here's a normal Speedy, something that people typically buy a Speedy for, and that you're still able to do this kind of stuff even with the cross, where a fiber you wouldn't be able to do this.
That's right.
We offer a flex system that has CO2 and fiber, and yes, that can do that. But that's also, as we know, and I'm not trying to downgrade it at all, but that's a fairly pricey system to have both sources in the same machine. Here, this is much less expensive. We're able to do, some of those marking applications. So if you're just trying to add a system to do the marking, you could add it to do this. But if this is going to be your only system and part marking is something you want to do, but you also would like to do some of the standard stuff, the material range might be a little bit more limited than a CO2, but we could still do this kind of stuff. So we're going to actually cut out and put together a fixture that we're going to use for engraving during this webinar. So
awesome.
Yeah. So this is ready to run. It'll take a couple minutes to process this, so I'm just going to go ahead and get it started. And
perfect. Let her rip.
Yeah.
It's funny. You guys can't see this, of course, but out the window in front of me, I actually see my colleague Mike Clark also testing on a Speedy Cross as we speak.
Maybe I can add something here, so it's not a replacement of. It's not a replacement of any other machine. It's something in addition. So it really depends what you are doing. If your main part it's perfect. If your main part is marking metals for small to medium output, but you want to be as flexible as possible to cut, for example, certain materials or engrave other materials as well, that's fine. Then the machine is a perfect fit. If you say my main job is cutting various materials, then most probably the CO2 is the better option. So you cannot say the cross is everything and the best of everything. So it really depends on what you are doing, and depending on the use case you have and the applications you want to run, we can then decide what's the best option. Is it the CO2? Is it the cross? Or is it a fiber laser?
Totally. That's why I would highly encourage anybody who's seeing this and gets interested in the cross, is wondering whether it's a good fit for them. Petra's exactly right. We would encourage you to either come into your local Trotec or to get in contact and send us some samples. We can do a demonstration for you via the internet, but I think there are a lot of things that the cross will be a great fit for, and others where, maybe we would steer you towards one of our other kind of style systems. I think where the cross is really exciting for us is it continues that tradition of really high quality from Trotec, but it just broadens the spectrum of what we can offer you. Because like Ron said, the flex machine is available, and for certain people that might be the better option, but it's also not necessarily for everybody. I think one of the markets you mentioned, Petra, before, and I think this might be really well suited to, is schools, right? Ooh. I have a question here in the chat too from Corey, asking if there's any materials that the cross can't do. Ron, have you come across any in your testing so far where it's maybe less sufficient, or you might steer somebody towards one of the other options?
Just the bare material. We know that the blue diode does not react with anything that's clear. So clear acrylic glass on its own, without anything else, it cannot react with those materials, and that's just kind of the end of it. It'll treat it like a window, pass right through it. Now, there are products out there, and I did a little bit of testing with it here. I'm trying to perfect it, so I don't want to demonstrate it because I haven't got it quite down yet. But there's some products out there that you can apply. They were designed for those hobbyist, styles, small, low wattage diode lasers that are very slow. That you can do clear products and so forth. It's just you apply it to the surface, and that gives the laser something to react to that will then etch that surface, whatever it is. There's some materials that maybe are a bit more transparent that have some color to them, that the blue diode may also not quite react as well. Whereas, say, like a CO2 laser, it'll cut, if you have a clear piece of acrylic, a transparent red piece of acrylic, or a solid translucent, colored acrylic or whatever, it'll cut those three pieces of acrylic pretty much exactly the same with the same settings. The blue diode, the color does matter. So,
gotcha. Not too dissimilar though from how, like you said, a fiber might interact with a transparent material, right? Where a fiber laser also will pass directly through it.
So, this is the first half of our fixture that's done here. So this will be the top half. And what I'm going to do now is actually go and give it something to place against for rigidity, and also just so that when we put objects in here, it has something to sit on. And we're going to just cut that out of a piece of wood. So this is just, again, Trotec, Tro wood. Because we can't have a thing without the word Tro in front of it. And this is ready to go. Send it to the queue, and just going to cut out the backer for this, and we'll apply to get the two together.
Yeah, perfect. As I was saying before, I think one of the areas where I could really see this being beneficial is because of its versatility is in a school, in an education setting. I think Petra mentioned the fact that it is very, very quiet as one kind of upshot that we don't often get the chance to think about, but really is pretty important, particularly in an educational setting, obviously. But then for a lot of the reasons that we're talking about, right? I mean, you have that versatility of materials, that you have some CO2, some metal marking. It's kind of a nice mix of a few different things. And I hope that Ron is showing some of the stuff here that, I mean, in terms of the materials you're showing, things like plastics, woods, and metals are usually the ones. I mean, Gabe, is it fair to say that these are kind of the materials that schools usually ask us to work with kind of in the first place?
I would think so. I don't know if you were asking me or someone else. Or
it's all good, buddy. I'll take any and all comers.
No, I haven't. As thing, I haven't had a lot of experience with schools and stuff, but I think definitely not only because of the materials that you're running, but also just the size of the machine. I feel like just in limited experience, a lot of schools are looking to get something smaller that can kind of not necessarily be introductory necessarily, but something that when students are using might not be overwhelming. And having the, again, Ruby software on this machine, the overall size of it, and then the materials that you can do, it definitely sounds like something, at least in my mind, that would be good for a school.
Yeah, I agree. I think also the size is a really good point.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I thought Petra might be
the size, but also the safety aspect. So it's a complete safe machine, and it's possible to work there. Plenty of students in the room, so there are no dangers using the machine when a lot of people around it. And as you mentioned it's Ruby software. The interaction of all the parties, the connectivity is ideal for schools, like we know it from the CO2 machines as well. So that's not something new and particular to this machine. But for those who know Ruby, that's the benefit here. And here again, it's the fit. If I have the need for metal marking and other materials as well, it could be a perfect fit. In general speaking, it's the cross is. It's a balance between affordability, functionality, and reliability. It's a reliable machine with different aspects, what you can do, and as Ron mentioned before, an affordable machine compared to a machine who has 2 laser sources, where if I need a machine or if I need 2 machines. So we have all that compromised in one machine.
I think another point that maybe doesn't get talked about enough, but just based on the speed that Ron is showing here with his applications, if you are working in a school and you had a fiber laser, you are probably marking one student's project at a time. Whereas with the cross, as Ron's especially with this jig is about to show us, doing multiple at a time with that kind of patented speed. That's really silly. Regret that one immediately. Is a really, really nice feature. Again, that nice big open working area. Is that anodized metal? Am I right in saying?
That is, yep. So these are just some anodized aluminum cards, approximately 3 by 2 inch anodized aluminum, business card size cards. To have a graphic already loaded up for them and so forth. And so just basically what we saw is, I cut out the 2 pieces of material, the trolleys, which is, laminated plastic, similar to Romark, Gemini materials, you name it. And then, wood, which is a wood veneer product. Put the 2 pieces together. The trolleys had an adhesive backer on it, so we could stick them together. So now I have a nice rigid, ready to go fixture that I've got it positioned in the machine. I want to point out the reason I'm using this corner is really just for the sake of the camera angle.
So you
can see everything that I'm doing. You can see what I'm doing without me getting in the way of the camera. So, yeah, this is pretty much ready to go. So,
yeah, let it rip, man. I do appreciate, you guys don't know all of the hard work that Ron puts in, not only in doing these applications, but also getting the camera set up ahead of time. He's even been thoughtful enough to match his shirt to the color of the lid to make sure that if he happens to cross the screen, you won't even notice. It'll be a seamless transition.
Yeah, I almost put a gray shirt on this morning, and I was like, wait a minute, we're doing the cross webinar.
Yeah, got to match the lid. Well done.
Yeah.
That looks awesome.
I agree.
I haven't seen this one yet.
One of my, when it's all said and done, it's one of my favorite things to say around here, which, obviously our U.S. headquarters is Plymouth, Michigan, which is about 30 minutes from Detroit City. Detroit City is not historically known as being, one of the greatest cities in the United States and so forth. However, it has had a massive renaissance in the last 10 to 15 years, and has really, really, really become a whole wonderful place to see and do. And I always kind of, when I hear somebody say something negative about Detroit, my wife and I both, we have this we always say the same thing, and it's you'll see it when it comes out here. But
excited, man.
Yeah, protecting the home turf.
Yeah.
I'm with you.
Well, and it's just one more reason to come see us in person in Detroit.
Yeah.
It's not just for the Trotec anymore.
Right. Yeah, come see a come watch a demo, then go to a Lions game or Tigers game or whatever season it is. You'll have a grand old time. Get some buddies pizza.
I was gonna say too, number one, I'm sure that's contentious because I'm sure there are many pizza places in the city that attest to being the best. So Gabe has just put his life on the line for buddies. The other one I would say though is if and Gabe kind of hinted to it, there was a bit of a sneak peek at the cross this year at the GP. I think we're planning at this time. I don't know if it's fair to sort of reveal it, but we'll very likely have something, either the GP or something very similar again next year. So if you missed it this year, I would definitely say plan in advance to come and check it out next year because it is a really, really special. Do you want to, in 10 seconds, Gabe, I don't know if you can sort of summarize what the GP was and maybe kind of what made it cool?
Yeah. Event right here in Plymouth in our showroom. We had not only a bunch of laser experts from our team come in and teach a bunch of classes and give a lot of helpful tips and tricks on what all of our laser systems can do and give live demos. But also we had other vendors from similar industries like sandblasting and UV printing and many others kind of show up. So it was like an all-in-one blitz to, starting your laser business or enhancing your laser business, depending on where you already were. It was a 2-day event, and then those who wanted to actually go to the Detroit Grand Prix afterwards were more than welcome to. And we do plan on doing it again next year. We are already in some of the planning process. I'm sure it'll be similar to how it was last year, but there will be plenty of new things and new changes. So it should be very exciting, and we look forward to having everyone there again next year.
You kind of timed that perfectly. Gabe was right in the middle of saying nice things about Detroit.
That's right.
That's wonderful.
That's right. Say nice things about Detroit. So yeah, it's there you go. That's
Can we get another close up of one of those? I wanted to.
Yeah, let's do the black one this time.
Awesome. Yeah, for
Really
real.
nice.
It does look. I mean, like I was saying, it looks painted on there. It looks fantastic.
Well, and to Petra's point, those pin thin lines on the buildings in the foreground there are really, really sharp.
Yeah. It's that, and again, that's with this machine running as fast as it's capable of running. It's set to 100% speed, which is on this particular machine is 110 inches per second at reasonably fast. I don't remember if this is rated at 5G acceleration like the 400 is, but quite up there though. Yeah.
So I'm curious to know, and maybe this is something you can't tell me because again, we're still early days of testing, but when it comes to cutting, with the same kind of type of calculation work, I mean, you've got like a 40-watt laser in there, I believe you said. So those 3mm materials, you'd be very comfortable to kind of, cut through in the wattage versus thickness calculation is very similar to CO2 if you were making the.
It depends on the material. With wood and natural materials, it does seem to be comparable. Plastics, it really kind of depends on the color of the plastic. I found that I actually tried to process a different trolley earlier to do that was a different color, had a different core color, to do the same fixture earlier, and although I was able to cut through it, it was quite a bit slower than the black and red. So black and red is what we went with. So,
gotcha. Very cool.
Yeah.
Getting near the top of the hour, I wanted to kind of go around and maybe have you guys share some final thoughts or some things that you really wanted people to take away. First and foremost, thank you to everybody who has been following along with us and watching and stuff. Again, if you have any questions, if you're watching this later on YouTube, thank you for watching. If you have any questions, definitely toss them down in the comments and we will try and get back to you as quick as we can. I've been reassured too that we're actually going to put in the notes underneath the video, we're going to put the link to register for the 2026 Detroit Grand Prix. So since I know that Gabe sold you, definitely check it out. Go check out the link. You can sign up right away. You can check out all the different packages and things, and you can learn a little bit more about the event. But Petra, I would love to come to you first. Are there kind of some top headlines you'd love people to take away about the cross? Is there something in particular that you're the most excited about? Any kind of final thoughts you'd like to toss at the end?
Was it me, Don? Unfortunately,
Please.
the connection is so bad. but I can do some final thoughts, of course. So I think the Cross is a nice fit compared to all the other machines we have. If we have a customer with a specific use case expanding to metal marking, wants to have an affordable solution with the power of Ruby, with all the automation stuff, things you already know from Trotec, of course, not only from hardware and software, but also the service and support we can deliver our materials. So you have the full package. So this is another powerful machine. And if it's not the Cross that best fits the application, then it's another one. But the Cross has its strengths, especially the pinch-up clarity that Ron has shown, the larger working area compared to Galvo systems that typically do that kind of applications in the metal marking, and also that big parts can be marked and not having the need for even a bigger machine. The versatility in the materials, able to process other materials as well as apart from the metal marking, and also to cut some materials. So all in all, it's a perfect fit for some use cases.
That's going to be tough to follow. That's very good. You covered up all the really important stuff. Ron or Gabe, was there anything else you wanted to kind of throw in at the end? Ron, I know, are there any exciting applications you're still looking forward to testing? I know you were talking maybe about trying some of the stuff with clear materials, maybe to throw on some of the social media going forward, or?
Yeah, there's some, I've kind of been dabbling with that a little bit. That's been kind of a side project that was brought to my attention by actually our director of sales, Daryl, who he's just like, hey, I heard about this. I'm shipping you some. Give it a try. So, so we've been messing with that. But I've got a couple of customer applications coming in, both of which are industrial nature, part marking, various metal parts and components and so forth. And it's exciting to get a handle on some practical applications with part marking with the system, and just truly see what we can and can't do with it. And so that's pretty exciting to try those. I've got actually one that's sitting over. We're doing a comparison of our U300 versus the Cross as far as doing some part marking. I have that already here. I have another one that's on the way. That's exclusively for the Cross, and I've actually got another one sitting on the floor over here that's meant for the testing on the Cross that I haven't opened the box yet. So it's quite a few. I'm excited about all of it. I'm really looking forward to just kind of getting some practical real testing, and not just what we have sort of been doing recently, which has just been put a sheet of material or something in there and try to mark it and see what it does. Try to save those settings if it's something we don't have already, and to do something really practical is going to be fun. Getting more familiar with it. So
yes, and if you are watching this and you want to do a test on the Cross, follow Daryl's advice and send something to Ron. I guarantee you what you get back will be something even cooler than you sent out. Last but not least, I will come to you, Gabe. Any last thoughts? Anything you want to leave it with? I mean, excited to get into the showroom and finally get your hands on the beautiful red lid.
Yeah, register for the Grand Prix 2026. No,
yes.
But no, everyone summed it up pretty well. I'm excited to actually try using it at some point soon here. I'd say the biggest thing for me, other than the smoothness that I was talking about and how precise it was looking, for a new machine to run on Ruby, a software that I'm already used to, it's nice that I don't feel like I'm gonna have to relearn anything. It'll just be kind of about learning the materials and what the settings are. So I feel like it'll just be a nice, easy transition. And again, just goes back to the Ruby software being very, easy to use and user friendly, makes this system all the more appealing.
I thought that was great, man. I think that's awesome.
Oh,
well, listen,
I was worried.
Not at all. Even though you and I wore the wrong shirt colors, I think we've brought it together. Again, want to say thank you to everybody who's watched us so far and everybody who might be watching this in future on YouTube. You can usually find us at least once, if not 2 or 3 times a month here streaming live. If you have any questions about Trotec or about the cross in particular, I hope you'll leave them in the comments. We definitely look forward to hearing from you and getting all of the different things that you want to try marking on the cross directly from you, and we will send them right onto Ron, obviously, as has been the case. We look forward to seeing you guys at our next stream. Definitely sign up for our YouTube channel, sign up for our emails so you're notified when these streams go live, and also sign up for the Grand Prix, as Gabe said. We look forward to seeing you guys at the next stream. Take care, everybody. Bye-bye.